Good afternoon. It's our Tuesday, 3 p.m. We have a short 30 minutes presentation here to you. Obviously, our audience are small business owners. And you remember that on Saturday, I already gone through government shutdown impact on small businesses. But today, I want to focus on family. Focus on those people that you probably come across as your employees or the community members who are actually on certain government program that you know of. So it is still a webinar for you, and we want to increase your awareness of people around you. So those people who used to be not matter your business, but now if we go into government shutdown for more than 30 days, which is not unheard of, back in 2019, President Trump did one for 35 days. So now we're going into not 30 days yet, but if we go over 30 days, there are a lot of families are going to be in jeopardy. And we need to know that so you can spot them and everybody come together and help these people, right? So that is the reason why we do this talk, is not because it is your responsibility as a small business owners, but we have responsibility to our community that we live in. So give you some education on this one, help you to spread your love to your community, right? All right, let's get going. So before we do all the webinars, we briefly introduce Community CPA to you. This is our website, communitycpa.com. We are not a nonprofit organization. We are a profit-making company, and we provide tax accounting audit services. So this is our website, and if your business is in hardship, and if your business is booming, and anything that is posting issues to you, you should look into Community CPA because we're there to help. And we, in our line of business, if you ask me what is most important, what differentiates you from the other CPA firms, we have very strong compassion for immigrant-owned businesses as well as small, medium-sized business. So if you are in this category and you know what I'm talking about, so this world is not so much about left and right, it is actually about top and down. It is about the bottom line versus the top line. So, in this population, in this society, and you cannot close your eyes not to see these low-income folks, and they are there, and they are part of the community. So we, as a community CPA, as a firm, even though we're a profit-making company, but we are we're advocating for people who has a reasonable life in this richest country in the world. So with that said, we want to, give you our character as a community CPA, so you know who we are. And our firm, we have 6 different branches located in 4 different states. So we know a little bit of economy, just because we're not just one little shop in one little city and don't know what world is all about. And we actually, as a firm, the original startup of the firm is actually for Canadian clients. That's where I come from. So I brought in with me when I moved to Canada, when I moved to US, and I have 50 Canadian clients. So we understand the world a little deeper than those CPA firms or CPAs who doesn't have the international views. So we look at things a little differently. And here is our YouTube channel for all of our webinars. After we finish the webinar, is inside of the YouTube channel, and you can find all of the studio one. If you see my background, you kind of realize that this is the background we use all the time because this is our studio. For all of my webinars that is done in the studio, you will find them under the live section, because we are broadcasting live, and there's no chance for me to correct mistakes. I make mistakes, but it's just gonna be mistakes, okay? So with that said, you will find us under the live. Otherwise, you search by categories. You go, I want to see government shutdown. Then all of my webinars related to government shutdown will come out. So you use the magnifying glasses right there. All right. So I wrote 2 books. So I still have 2 to finish. So these 2 books are, the 4 books I have in mind, it is about the business process. You start, you grow, you expand, and you sell and close, you retire. So that is the series I want to write. Inside of each book, there are stories. They are really a story reflected the background drop of the U.S. United States of America. And when you start that book was really written prior to pandemic. Then when I grow the business book written, I was in the middle of the pandemic. Then now I'm doing the expansion, which is the 2 p.m. It is right in the process of where President Trump took office again, 2.0 term, and how all of these things are changing. So with all of that, how that impacted small businesses, you'll see real stories and a real analysis, not so much of political analysis, is more of the real world, how that impacted small business. So it's an interesting book. It's just focused on business. We're not trying to be expert in politics because I really do not know about politics. And it's not I'm trying to be modest. I really do not know. I feel very torn with politics because, I almost don't see left and right. I see a bunch of issues. Sometimes the left is right. Sometimes the right is left. It's just like, it's not that easy to take a stand on which party is your absolute party. That would be ridiculous if you were able to do that. So with that said, no responsibility disclaimer comes in so timely. I just did a whole bunch of nonsense, and now let me just write it off. It is not there. All right, so let's focus on what this government shutdown will impact the low-income family. And my life in the United States has never gone that way. So I did not have a skin level of understanding of low-income family. But have I known them? Yes, I do. I have seen them. I know them. And when my kids were at school, I understand them. I understand those families. So with that said, I felt it is part of my life. It is part of what I understand the society. So last Saturday, that is the YouTube logo. Like when you go to YouTube, you will see this, what do you call this thing? YouTube, forgot about that English term, but it's like a little, each of the talk we have this little symbol, right? So that is that one for last Saturday. I want you to recognize that one so you can find it. If you are a small business owner, I want you to listen to that so you understand what the government shutdown will do to you. And today our focus is on low income, and we talk about low income family, how they get impacted, because I want to help the community members to advocate and to the service providers how to come together to help during this difficult time. It may not be 35 days. It might turn out to be 90 days. We don't really know. But what we want to do is we want to be sensitive. We want to be sensitive, especially to those families who are receiving welfare, receiving food, nutrition, assistance programs. Those are the family will be squarely impacted by this shutdown. They won't get the money. They may not even be able to go to their local grocery store to buy groceries. That is how serious it will become. The government shutdown overview, the U.S. federal government decided to shut down on October 1st of this year. I say they decide because both Senate and the House are controlled by Republicans. We're not talking about Democrats has any power to shut down the government. Republican alone shut down the government. So it is the government decision. I don't comment on whether the decision right or wrong because I don't have a place to say that. This is something that the politicians, the president of the country will make that call. So they decide to shut down. With the shutdown, non-necessary government function will stop. So how do you define what is necessary, what is not necessary? The shutdown expect the necessary service to continue, but the employee work for free. So it is not like, okay, this is essential work, and so let's get them paid so they can continue to work. No. This is essential. You come to work, but you don't get paid. So how that gonna last? It doesn't last, right? So the air control for the aircraft, people are taking sick leaves. They're just not coming because they don't get paid. They take sick leaves. So there's no people, there are not enough people to handle those critical things. You know, on the air traffic in the air, there's a lot of things done in the background. So people don't really know. For example, weather control. The weather is something that these federal employees are monitoring, are working on. Now there's nobody doing that. So let's just pray we're going to have a good weather all over the world, so there will be no issue. But at the same time, and I want us to understand that during this shutdown, maybe you don't travel on air as much as you like to. Try to reduce your travel, right? Bring less burden to people who are working and without pay. All of these things, right? I'm just mentioning that is because there is no control, you, me, or others, but there's only control of our own behavior. So we will adjust our behaviors. Let's not travel on air if you don't have to. And then let's make sure that your neighbors, your next doors are not going to be run out of food. If you have it, you even throw away your leftovers. Come on, think of somebody else, right? In this particular time. It is not new to President Trump. Recall in 2019, there's 35 days shutdown, affected around 800,000 federal employees, with about 380,000 furloughed, let go, and others working without pay. So this is the reality. So how federal funding works for low-income family. In this country, low-income family, single mother family with many kids, and we don't even need to put a dollar amount on the table. You can just imagine those people because I know you see them. And there are federal programs help them. For example, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program is called SNAP. People call it food stamp too. So that's the same program. So we know what food stamp is, right? So people get food stamp to go to grocery store so they don't have to come up with their salary to pay for it. They have the SNAP program to support them. And the women infant C, what does C stand for? I'll get there. So that is WIC is for Women Infant Nutrition Program, which means a lot of the infants, when they were born, their milk, their formulas are supplied by this program, if the parents don't have money. Then, of course, you have a temporary assistance for needy families. That program supports families with children to achieve economic security and stability through different kind of flexible program at the state level. Although it is all administrated at the state level, all of these federal programs, but they're getting federal funding to do that. So even though you felt like, oh yeah, I applied at the state, I got it, but the federal government gave the state money, so you got it. So these low-income people are supported by federal dollars. These appropriation authorizes the federal agency, like the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and they are to spend the money on the program and distribute the money to the state. So this is the power of Congress. The Congress is a combination of the House and the Senate, right? So the House is controlled by Republican, Senate controlled by Republican, so the Congress is controlled by Republican. And by the way, our Supreme Court is also controlled by Republican. So there is really not any way to describe how, this appropriation, if they stop appropriation because the government shut down. They cannot appropriate any funds. The state normally, to counter that temporary shutdown, if it is 10 days, 13 days, which is long past, then the state will use their temporary funds to continue the program and to not stopping it. But if it is a longer shutdown, you can understand not all the state has the emergency funds to play the card. And what happened during a shutdown, when Congress failed to pass the spending bill or continue to resolute and debate, and one left blame right and right blame the left, that's the game we play, and the federal agency loses their legal authority to spend money. So agencies all across the board, the one that did not get shut down by Elon Musk, they still operating and they cannot spend money anymore. The Anti-Deficiency Act prohibits any spending or obligation without Congress approval. So you don't get that approval. Someone says that, oh, Ying, that's good. So the ICE will not raid it anymore because they have no right to approve. No, they are considered priority. They already got the money. They are not in this shutdown. They don't shut down. The only thing got shut down related to immigration side is the immigration court. They are federal court, so they might just close because they don't get paid. They don't have to work, right? This means the agency like USDA cannot issue new funds or guarantee payments for upcoming benefit cycle. So November food stamp, many people, 45 million people, would not be able to have a guarantee for that fund. They may not have it. Depends on which state they're in. Some state has emergency fund, can still do it. Some state just belly up, they cannot do it. Then the people who doesn't have money, they don't have money, they don't have anything to eat. We'll see more homeless people for sure. May not be happening at my home state, but other places, like Virginia. They have very high poverty rate, and I don't know how they're going to deal with that. Some agencies operate temporarily using the carryover funds, but some just don't have it. So it's really up in the air. So why low-income programs are essentially vulnerable? They're vulnerable because giving money to those programs is not being supported by federal government. It is already being looked at to see ways to reduce that. Now the shutdown is completely wiped out. So there is, go without saying that is the most vulnerable programs that on the table can be chopped off or in half or however they want to do it. And the states have already been told by the federal government that to delay the benefit disbursement. State already been told. Many federal employees are furloughed already, halting data process, compliance, and all of these essential work, which critical to the general public, now is considered non-essential from the federal standpoint, or even if it is essential, the federal employee need to work without pay. That is just not right. To have people work without pay. That is hardly American, right? So we're in this dreamland and everyone work hard, get paid. Nowadays, that concept might be reconsidered, okay? These programs depends on monthly federal transferring money, those programs. So now that stopped, family living paycheck by paycheck will feel it immediately. So that is really what I want. It's not like our small business owners, you, me, and others can do much about it, but I want us to feel it so we can do something. Even if we impact one family, even if we go to help one family, and that is still better than not helping any and pretend it didn't happen around us. No, we want to continue extend that positive feelings, the love, the gratitude, the forever grateful, that kind of mental stage that need to be with everyone. Otherwise, life is too hard. So I want to talk about it. I hope to influence you to feel that way with me. There is nothing worse than each one of us start feeling negative. That will give a momentum of negative. That will give a reason for civil war. That will give a reason for the government to be a dictative government. We are the one on the bottom and gathering that momentum. Don't let that happen. Let's be positive. We're going to help. Okay, we have enough on our plate. Let's share some to others. That's it. It's nothing too hard to do. You can do it, and you can do one. The other person do another one. Then together we can help families, many families in the local area, right? All right. So we talked about the impact with the SNAP, while we were going through the slide. So this is the food stamp program. It's very critical, and we don't really want to see this get glitches, but it might. 42 million people relying on SNAP. You know how you recognize these people relying on SNAP? When you go to grocery store, and if you pay credit card for it, but they have this different card. I actually don't quite remember what the card looks like, but they have this different card with a balance in there. It comes to their card every month from the federal government through the state appropriation. So they use that money to buy food. So when they are at grocery store, they can only use that card to buy food. They can not use that card to buy alcohol and things, luxury item. So that is kind of the food assistance program we have in the country. It has been there for ages, so to get rid of this one or stop this one, the impact is huge. So I hope it's not going to come there. But if the shutdown comes to stopping the SNAP program, then local communities, local community leaders, you have a responsibility to help these families. That's the program I don't remember what C stands for. How could I forget that? It's children, right? Women, Infants, and Children program. This is also a very important program. It's federally funded through contingency revenues and not directly appropriation. Those reserves are expected to run out within 2 weeks of the shutdown start. So it's already run out. So USDA had urged the state to use emergency funds to carry it on. That depends on the states, whether they have money or not. So these are the ones: the infant formula, specialized nutritional foods, maybe in short supply as vendors stop accepting unpaid vouchers. What that means is if they got this money, they spent, and if there's a time gap, says, oh, I will get it in 2 weeks and let me buy it. The vendor might just stop because they will be owing too much and they don't want to advance those money. Vendors are the suppliers. They are the one bought the formula and resell it, make a little margin, and you want these people to pre-sell those formulas without getting paid. The business cannot continue. So we have small businesses who run grocery stores. I know how thin margins you have in that business. You can't afford to advance the money that federal government didn't give you. So I understand. But at the same time, I really want, our small business owners be creative. Maybe there are food supplies that getting ready to expire. Don't let that expire and give it away to the community while they are needed right now, and the government is not helping, then it is calling upon every one of us to help. So I want to make sure that you hear my suggestion. Other federal nutrition, the food program, so nutrition for school lunch and the breakfast program continue temporarily using state local revenue. But the federal reimbursement are paused. So, if you have school children, you know that when school starts, they ask you to fill up a form. Your children could qualify for free lunch at the school, free breakfast, free lunch at school. There's so many people are in that program. So the data we looked at is 70% of the children are on these programs. So imagine there's no more this program. How many kids gonna come to school without food? They will be starving whole day. And I knew a elementary school teacher, and when she started teaching, she actually was telling me, because I was the tax person, right? So she actually filled up her tax return with me. She told me a story. I almost cried. So she said to me that when she started, this is like about 15 years ago. So she said to me that when she started teaching elementary school, she knew in her class which kids are actually don't have good care. So she ended up with buy. Because those parents, even though there's a program, they don't even fill up the form. So the kids don't end up with a free lunch. So she actually would use her own little pay. She didn't get paid a lot. At that time, an elementary school teacher in our place is paid what? $45,000. These teachers, and going through all these education program, owes like $100,000 tuition loans, and here making $45,000. Then she used all of her money to buy clothes, food for her student. So this is how much compassionate we have in our community, in United States of America. The American people are good people. The American people are so passionate, they care about the other person. And these programs, I knew them, so I told my client that, why are you not helping them to apply for these programs so they get that for free? She said that assignment happens at the beginning of the semester. So if the parent didn't really do, it is really difficult for school to go after the parents goes, oh yeah, I think your student don't have food and let's do this. So parents has to come forward for that, and then the student family are so broken, there's nobody taking care of them. So with that said, those needs are there, and there are good people out there, and they will take their salary, help their student. So for our small business owners, I know you don't have salary, or you couldn't really afford salary for yourself, but whatever inventory you have left over, if that could help others, and don't put it in the storage room now, and think of how to bring it out and to help the community. And that is how we can spread the positive feelings onto the place we are, right? So that is becoming very important. And what community can do, local solutions in this time. So expand emergency food distributions. So there are nonprofit actually collecting food cans and things, and be participating in the food bank, and making sure that you bring your cans from your house and to those places, know that it will be used, even better used today. Coordinating across the organization, just like, Community CPA, we support Immigrant Entrepreneur Summit. It is a business event, but during that business event, we have coffee, breakfast, we have lunch. I mean, if you tell me that you want to start business, but you don't have money to pay for the admission fee, you give me a call. You give our firm a call, we pay for you. And you go for a whole day with warm food, nice environment, learning and doing things, and come out, you do business. So to support yourself, don't rely on government welfare. So if you don't rely on government welfare, and this talk for you is not even relevant. There's a lot of people have never ever touched government welfare. So those who ended up there, they're unfortunate, but you want to bring yourself out if you are there, so that you don't become this political move of President Trump. Coordinating between the organizations, so community CPA, supporting nonprofit IES, then IES spread out is good doing to the community, so we coordinating between each other, and educate local and the federal representatives to emphasize on urgency of storing the funds. Yeah, talk to your senator, talk to your Congress people. Most likely they're Republicans. They're the one making decisions. Tell them to do some good for the poor, right? And follow office updates, encouraging families to monitor verified information sources such as USDA and all of that. So what we are saying here is that don't get into TikTok. to figure out whether you get food stamp or not, right? That's not the right place to do. And you ask for the government officials and call them and call the agencies to get accurate information from them, right? So here, I have a closing remark from Community CPA, from us. The reality is, the 2025 government shutdown is disrupting essential nutrition and welfare programs. Millions of low-income families face food insecurity, uncertainty, and emotional stress as a funding stalls. So, folks, I want to ask you, have you ever starving before? Have you ever, at a time, didn't have a food, then you are so hungry, you felt like you want to eat anything is available? Have you ever got to that point? Maybe in movies you have seen that, right? So that is the insecurity of food. No human should go there. So that is insane for citizens of the United States of America have food insecurity. That is an insult to the flag. That is how far we go. We should not let that happen. But that's the reality. 47 million people will have food insecurity with this government shutdown. The risk. The program like SNAP, the food stamp, and Women, Infant, Children program, that's a lifeline for nearly 48 million Americans combined, are at risk delayed, reduced, if the shutdown continues. Okay? So respond. Community can and must step up through collaborations, local food efforts, and clear communications to help these families. Preparation, compassion are key to reduce harm and ensuring families do not face hunger or isolation. Don't let any family try to be hungry alone. That is the promise we should have for our community. With that said, I still advocate for the good service of community CPA, and we are here to help folks. And if your business is in hardship, or if your business is thriving, we are your CPA firm. Here are the 5 partners you have on the screen, and you can contact any of us. And with that said, do you know our phone number? 515-288-3188. We open 6 days a week, 8:30 to 5:30, every day, 6 days a week. Yes. And we also have Catherine's email right here. If you'd like to hear us to talk about anything else, related or non-related, and give us a suggestion, we'll be here to see you. And I normally, very seldomly, I would replace myself with other partners to talk at my time slot. I am here on Tuesday, 3 p.m. and Saturday, 3 p.m. I will see you again on Saturday. Bye-bye.